Welcome back, fellow YouTubers, people watching me, Chris, Two-Stall Garage. Yep, we're in here in my two-stall garage. That right there is a project we're about to unload and get into Two-Stall Garage here to get some work done to it. What work might you be asking? Well, as you might be able to tell from the thumbnail there, we're getting this a good old 5.3 Vortec LS. Now some of you might argue it's an LS. Yeah, well, it's the same design. 4L80E transmission. Got a ton of work to do to this thing. So let's get it in the garage here and we're gonna go over it and give the rundown. $0.50 worth of zip ties gone. Sorry, though, cheap insurance. Well, hopefully we can get this in here, and I don't know, I think I might pull it forward just a little bit. Well, I apologize for the light, but I've devised a plan. That plan is taking two ratchet straps up in front, letting one loosen up, unpopping the other one, and it slacks back about 6 inches at a time. So I'm going to continue to do this, and we're going to roll it off the trailer. That happens. All right then. Seemed like my slack didn't slack out. What do we get? Well, toolbox stopped it. I guess we're in the garage now. Cool. I think it's maybe time to install my winch on that trailer. Anyways. Well, would you just look at it? Yeah. We got it. It's in the garage now. So, let's do a quick tour of this, a little bit of history on this here unit. What it means to Paul. What we're going to do to it, and kind of just dive into it. So, this truck, what did it start its life out as? Well, it started off as a 1988 one-ton crew cab Squarebody pickup truck. Now, being that it was a 1988, this was getting to be at the end of the Squarebody fleet. They stopped making these really in 1991. Suburbans, Blazers, those are kind of the last of the dying breed? I don't know. Breed, that's what I was trying to say. And the truck, I believe 88 was the very last year for this pickup truck because they started going to the round style for your more compact trucks there with the TBI, fuel injection setup. But they continued, and the work trucks, including this one that they built to be a work collar for the railroad. That railroad was the Burlington Northern Railroad. If you don't know what the Burlington Northern Railroad, it was a combination of the Burlington and Quincy and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the Great Northern Railway, back in the day, they went in the 70s and they merged and they became Burlington Northern. Later on, Burlington Northern merged with the Santa Fe Railway. Now they are known as Burlington Northern Santa Fe. So Cascade green is the color of this truck, and that was the flying flagship colors of the Burlington Northern Railroad. So it is actually a pretty unique truck. Now this truck spent most of its life out in the northern country of Montana, running around on the rails of Burlington Northern. I believe it had high rail gear on it. If you don't know what high rail gear is, it has the ability to put hydraulics, lower, upper, lower, stuff to raise the truck up, put it on the railroad tracks, and send it up and down the rails as a workhorse. Section crews would use these trucks to go out into the field, make minor repairs to the tracks, change out rails, joint bars, maybe do some tie work, production gang, whatever, or just do your track inspections as we know it. It is very clean. We're going to do a quick walk around on it. We're going to start here at the front end and we're going to work our way around. Now, as you may have noticed in the beginning of the video here, the front clip is partially there. We got the fenders and we got the hood, but we're missing the core support, radiator, cooling system, all that fun stuff. But it is in the back of the truck. So we're in need of some parts, but as we go around the truck, you can see that it is pretty darn solid. It's got a little, it's got those railroad blemishes all on the front end here for putting many miles on it. Took probably a little bump there, marker lights banged up, but you don't have your rust right here like they all get. The lower part of this fender here, this, well, it's solid, but it's got a big crease right there, but that's okay. That's okay. It gives it character. Looked like it did have the Squarebody sticker on there. Someone tried to put it back on. You can tell that by the way that is. But that fell off. Missing the antenna here, but all in all, really good shape. Windshield is solid. It doesn't look like it has any rust holes in it. Usually they rot out through here. Being that that's up, this has had a windshield replacement because the molding is usually a different style, but that's good to know. Passenger side door here, we're mirrorless, but that's, I believe, inside the cab. A couple other dents, stings, some blemishes, but all in all, pretty solid. Of course, it's got a little bit of bumpages on it. You can see some dents. Yeah, railroaders call those whiskey dents, if you will, angry dents, I don't know. This back passenger door here, we got the drip rails all intact. Looks like it was painted a couple different times, couple shadings through here. Maybe it was from sitting on the side there, but we got some, what they call the patina. But a couple little scratches on here. 3+3 flavor. Usually you got these, Camper Plus, Camper Special, all the good one. Maybe that was some kind of a safety decal at one time. Cab corner though, this is solid rocker. It's starting to get some little bit of rust going on there, but it's all good. Now the bed here, that's a little rough. I got some more dentages on here, and we got a little bit of crackage going on right there from the sheet metal starting to tear, so not too bad though. A couple other little spots here, but no rust. Floppage, looks like the part's coming off here. Maybe a good self-tapper or tack weld would hold that on. This little brace, it's broke right in there, so that's got to get adjusted, looked at. But we saw some trail riding. We got some marks, some brushes, tree marks. The bed here, it's got, looks like it had a toolbox on it, a couple different ones from the pinholes in it, maybe some racks or whatnot. But it's definitely seen some better days. This tailgate, well, that's not the original tailgate, but yeah, it gives character. It's actually pretty decent. Back bumper, well, it's up there. Now as we come over here to the driver's side, this side's pretty decent. The colors changes just a little bit. I don't know if it's like I mentioned, sun fading less on this side or what, but all in all, it's pretty decent. It's got those weird little tears inside the metal here again, but no rust. It's solid. No gas tank, so we're gonna have to address that. What do we got here? Bed. Looks like you can see those marks again where they're putting toolbox or the tool racks, headache rack, buddy bar, whatever you want to call it. Another one of those little stickers. I'd be curious to see what that sticker was. Another 3+3 on here. The side of the bed's got a little bit of a dent. As we move down through here, this back door is solid as can be. A couple little dents on it, but that's all right. Cat corner is good. Sorry for my tightness in here. I'm kind of in a tight spot here because I got it in the one side of the garage. Driver's side door, pardon me, I didn't close it all the way, but it's there. It's got the decal on it as well. White mirror, that's kind of neat. Kind of awesome that they did that. This side, driver's side, it looked like we took a little smackaroo up front and someone opened the door. That's usually what happens with that. Front fender here, you can see where that damage was, where it got, bam, smacked around, pushed out. Hopefully that gets popped out here. Hood is really in excellent shape. You come around the front here, minus this weird little crack here. And then you can see maybe a little bit in the light there, there's a couple hail dingers in there. So you definitely saw some of that Montana hailstorms that they end up getting in the mid-summer months. As we come along to the inside of the truck, it's got this saddle something color, panels, seats are amazing, great shape. Rocker panel, yeah, they are just, that's the worst of it right there. But work truck, it's got this this rubber mat floor. Foot pedal's missing. No tilt steering on the column here, but dash pad is that's pretty good. Custom Deluxe, yeah, custom deluxe. Got old school radio in here. I'm guessing the railroad radio is up in here. Yeah, it's pretty decent, nice and roomy. Got this green painted up top as well. Solid back window. It doesn't have a slider. And then we got all the parts in the back seat that we're probably going to need. Some of them we're probably going to need a lot more as well. But interior is really super nice. We check out the inside of the bed here. You can see there's some other parts in there as well. We got a filler panel. We got the fan shroud, a couple radiator core supports. So we'll need those, but we're pretty well off. The bed is, well, it's a little rough. She's a little rough, but thankfully they make repair patch panels. You can actually bolt new floorboards in if you so choose. The back of the cab looks like maybe it got some tools that were sliding in and bam, hit that stuff. But yeah, all in all, really good, nice truck. So Tidal gave it away. And maybe that fan gave it away, but as we open up the power barn, you can see we got an LS in here. Some of you might say it's an LS, some of you might say it's a Vortec. I don't really know what you want or don't want. It's an LS, in my opinion. You can change out the intake, you can do whatever, but it's an LS. An LS, okay? The truck motor came out of a 2002 pick 'em up, as I believe. Behind it, we have ourselves a 4L80E transmission. And as if you come over here and take a gander at what the heads are, we got ourselves some 862 heads, which is really good. Looks, majority of the motor is complete. We got completed with intake. We got our sparkulator plugs, popper doodabbers, shooters. Looks like we got spark plugs in all of them. We got this super duper 50-mile long dipstick tube holder thing going on here. Must have been out of a van if I remember correctly. We need to get an oil dipstick. We don't have one of those to check and see I don't even know what's going on with this emissions stuff. We're probably gonna delete on that. But we got completed. Power steering pump is here. Uh-oh. We'll have to address that. And yeah, what else do we got here? We got this thing that does stuff. I'm spinning the alternator. It's doesn't sound the greatest, so maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We'll have to check and wait and see. But yeah, we got fuel regulator on here, fuel rail, brake booster. And this does have the power steering assist line set up, jobber for the brake booster thing. It doesn't have a vacuum booster set up on it, so gonna have to figure that out. Over here, we're missing up some wiring harness block setup, plug for the motor. We got nothing for the wipers as well. We got the fuel injector relays up here. Those are for the TBI setup that would have been in here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 140, 160, 150. The numbers over there don't lie. That tells me that someone was doing some compression check on the motor that was in here to see the health of it. Being that it's 2, 4, 6, 8, of course that is the passenger side. We're looking at 140, 130, 145, 150. Not very consistent. Power percentages is a little bit off. And if you look around, you can see, maybe you can't see, but there's some other writing over here as well. It looks like 1 was sitting at 125, 3 was at 135, 5 was at 135, and 7 looks to be about 146. Not very good compression. So we were kind of low, especially on number 1 over here and number 3. We're probably starting to get tired. So my guess is Burlington Northern or whoever owned this truck before, they were trying to do maintenance diagnosis, this stuff on this. It was losing power, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So they said, all right, we're gonna park the truck. My understanding is this truck was parked for quite many years and ended up getting parts and pieces ripped off of it. Now, Paul, when he acquired it, he went through and did a lot of work. He grabbed up, I think, 3 of these trucks and he put them all together to get himself one good, solid, somewhat decent truck going on here. He did stab the LS in here and the transmission, so looks great. We'll have to go through and make sure everything, all the nuts and bolts are checked off, because I know for a fact the motor mounts they're just kind of in there. But that's okay. That'll give us flexibility when we start hooking this up. Now, so what we're doing is we're gonna finish up the LS swap on this truck for Paul. We're gonna get it up and going, making sure everything's running well, everything's functioning, put the new parts on it. We gotta do everything. As you can see, we're missing the front end. Front end is where the radiator sits. So we're missing the cooling. That power steering setup, we're gonna have to figure all that out. We ain't got no wires, no wire harness. We gotta figure out a wire harness. We gotta get that thing plumbed up. Shift machine, we gotta get that thing to work up. Drive-a-lator shaft, we ain't got one. We gotta figure that out as well. Gotta get it up and running. We gotta make sure it runs. We gotta do exhaust. We gotta do the fuel system. So we have a ton of work to be done to this truck. Well, I'm gonna call it a night here. We got a list going on here. Got the cooling system, got the PS pump set up, we got the fuel system, we got a wire harness, we gotta figure that out. Drive line, fuel system, gauges, I'm gonna put the factory gauges in there. Electrical, tires, brakes, reassemble that front end, do the shifter linkage, make sure it's shiftering, and then, of course, battery. Now, is that list gonna grow like exponentially? Yeah. It sure is. It sure is. And I'm kind of on a time crunch to get this thing done, because the sooner I get this done, the sooner I can finish up Burt 2.0 for Power Tour. Very nice. If I don't, I guess pick the Impala. So I'm gonna call it a night there. I'm gonna go order up some parts for this thing. hopefully be back out here tomorrow. At least start looking stuff over and get my hands more on it now that it's in the garage. Well, I get out here a few days later, back working on this thing, and I got a catastrophe that went on out here. Well, what had happened is my little rack thing that I had in there apparently wasn't affixed in there long enough with long enough screws, and it was up there, and I had all these things and my pressure washer on, and it came down. So I guess I'm gonna do a little cleanup on that, and then in the meantime, we'll be back working on this 1988 Chevrolet C30 with a 5.3 liter 4L60E. And I got all my parts ordered up that I need to get going on this. Got a fuel tank, fuel lines, fuel pump, fuel sending unit, standalone harness, because I'm not depending that harness. What else we got? Sent the computer in. I got a bunch of other stuff coming. I can't even remember off the top of my head everything that I got ordered, but those aren't going to be here for a couple days. But in the meantime, we are going to go through and we are going to get everything cleaned up. I'm going to clean up the engine bay, figure out that mess of power steering because it's got the real hydro booster thing going on over there. We'll try to figure that out, order up some parts if need be, and just get rid of all the unnecessary stuff that needs to get addressed. Some stuff like, you know, this EGR stuff, we don't need that. Probably have to figure out some kind of a block off plate. Looks like the exhaust manifold, we're missing a bolt in the back, so we can probably try to extract that maybe. I don't know, we'll see what goes on with that. We got this old crispy heater hose that's got to get out of the way. We got some random wiring stuff that needs to go. Speaking of wiring, we ain't got no bulkhead harness thing, so I'm trying to track one of those down, figuring out stuff to go on that. Got to figure out what's up with this wire, what that thing even does. We got a good hole right there, so we'll figure out that. Remove the old TBI relays there, and then I think there's a harness dragging underneath the transmission here. Gonna go through and figure out all of that stuff and kind of see what's going on with drive shaft situations. Now, I believe this is going to need a two-piece drive shaft like on the Suburbans that I got for that, but I could be wrong. We could be able to get away with it one piece, but this is a long truck. So I'm going to clean up some stuff, and then I'm going to set you guys up to this. All right, well, been a couple weeks since I fired up the Suburban here, so let's fire it up. Oh, yeah, I think we got some water coming in here. It smells good. All right, let's go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pumps, please, 10 pumps. Got it fired up. Why is the beeper going off? It's because I gotta close the door. Headliner edge. Oh, oof. I think this is probably just gonna get ripped out because it's literally on my head. Yeah. Anyways, I want to just back this up a little bit because I want to, you know, pull it forward a little bit to back it up just a little bit. Now, I need space at the front of the hood so I can look at that bulkhead connector for the firewall. I want to see what I'm working with, so when I go to a junkyard, I can just be like, I need this part, snip, 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 and then I can build it from there. That's where we're at. So you can see in the bed of the truck here, we have that core support, this core support, and part of that wiring harness comes off for the headlights. It looks like we got half of the bulkhead connector for the headlights, so that's good. Back up here at the front, we're just going to need the other half of the connector here, basically from this side out. And the goal here is that's going to supply cab power. We need it to hook it up for the windshield wipers. And all the gauges are going to come off of that because we're going to leave the factory gauges in here. I ordered up some ICT like adapters. We're going to be running the stock oil pressure sender unit, temp gauge, all that stuff's going to be stock in here. But we got to get the signal into the cab up to the wire harness, and it's a lot easier just to buy the harness than it is to just do all wiring. Some other things that thing will probably have on it. It'll have our starter wire that we're going to have to figure out. And cab power. I already said cab power. But yeah, just all those little trinkets that we're gonna need. So we'll try to track one of those down here and go from there. Just notice that this front bumper, a little loosage going on here. That's all right. That's all right. All right. So whenever you're doing any kind of an LS swap, you're gonna ask yourself, where do I even start, right? Well, in my case with Angus, it was just like we had kind of a shell of a truck. It had the straight 6 in it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So I didn't know what to do. I just started. I just started. You got to pick a spot and just start. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going through and cutting out any of the junk and the BS that I didn't need. And I've come to realize that I do that on all my projects that I have trouble starting on. Just starting. Just eliminate any of the unnecessary stuff that you don't need. Of course, don't throw it away. Put it in a pile, so then that way if you do need something, you can go ahead and grab it back on, put it back on, and use it at a later date. However, most of the time, like what I figured out with Angus, especially on an LS swap, was there's a lot of shit that I didn't need. So we're not gonna change any of that process on this, and I'm gonna start by pulling off this EGR valve stuff. Now, if you don't know what the EGR valve is, this is the circulating exhaust emission gases. I think that's what it stands for. But it takes a portion of the gas that's unburned before it gets to the catalytic converter, and it shoots it back into your good old intake in here, and it reburns it. It's supposed to be with fuel mileage, you get a better, cleaner burn. Well, there's some kind of a pump or something that goes on here too. We ain't gonna need that where we're going. Being in 1988, it didn't have that option, and I'm not gonna worry about it. So computer is gonna have it deleted. We don't need any of the piping. However, we do need some block off pipes, pieces, and you can order those right up from Speedway Motors. Got those on order. There's one that's gonna go on the intake, I'll show you here in a minute, and then one that's on the manifold. Good old 10 millimeter though, we're gonna try to get this off, and hopefully it comes off without any fuss. All right, so as you can see, we're gonna remove these two bolts right here. They're 3/8, 10 mil, depending on what you got. And all this stuff gonna go away. Where this plugs into right here is gonna go up in here. That new block off setup has an O-ring, which is similar to this, and it's a block off plate with one little brass nut or something that goes in there. But we're gonna remove that. We're gonna get some heat on it. Come on. Now, I like to use propane. You can use MAP gas, which will get a little bit hotter, but I just always start with the propanes because, well, propane is not as hot. And sometimes you don't need stuff to be liquid to get it loose. But if it doesn't come off, get yourself some MAP gas. And that's essentially just a tiny little acetylene torch. And your goal is, because you know metal, when it gets hot, expands. You're trying to expand the metal and break free any rust or anything that's in here before you strip off the head of the nut, if you will. Let's see what that does. Oh no. No. We're gonna have to get the MAP gas out, I think. Well, okay, so you really have about 4 options you can do. First one is heat it up just a little bit on the outside, see if it will come off, and if it does a little slip on the socket like it did in our case, you gotta go to plan B. Plan B is you take it, you tap it on, like so. You heat it up again with the propane, and then you can see I didn't realize that this is open on the back side of it. We're gonna heat it up on the back side as well. You take a little bit of PB blast and kind of put it in here while it's hot. Try to let it soak in there and get where it needs to. If this doesn't work, you move on to the MAP gas. That's your step 3. And then if that doesn't work, well, you're welding on a nut to it, popping it off, or possibly just drilling it out. So you got a couple options, but choose wisely. Let's see what you do now. How about now? Oh. Oh. Well, it went like licorice. Kind of figured it was gonna go like licorice. Okay, well, guessing the bottom one's gonna do the same, so I'm gonna skip doing the PB blast. We're just gonna get the MAP gas. We're gonna heat it up nice and tight, and then knock it off. All right, so MAP gas and oxygen mixed together makes like a big poof like that, if you will. Don't need that much on, but you oxygenate any kind of gas and you blow it out like so. You get a hot little flame like that, similar to oxyacetylene. It's just a little bit more temperamental, but you get a hot little flame like that where you can heat up stuff a lot quicker. Are you telling me that my oxygen's going out? Did we lose oxygen? We did. My oxygen tank is empty. That's one thing I don't like about these things, they don't last very long. Cool. It's so hot, and we have to heat it up again. I don't know. Probably not. One. It's probably gonna break though. Like that. Well, that's fun. Oh well, hey. After parts run and some other junk I got going on here, we've cleaned up the engine bay just a little bit here. Got that bolt obviously was snapped off over on that other side, but went through, figured out the PS pump system. That's got to get plumbed in with all this junk here. I'm gonna have to come up with some T fittings set up, but we'll get there. It's no problem. Also went and got a snake belt. So hopefully this is the right size one we can put on there. Now on my C10, I actually have this eliminated, and I have this belt, so we may need to take that one off. May not, I don't know, but it's a reroute setup. Christopher's back there being loud and working on his OBS truck. Is that what you're working on, is OBS?
Yeah, it's not mine.
Oh, yes. So, that would be my belt routing that I have up around the alternator power steering. This one up around this pulley, down, back, and under. It gives me clearance without this because my air cleaner, I don't have a mechanical fan. It comes out, pulley's deleted, and it drops down here on an angle, then that's where my air cleaner is. So in this case, we have two options. This belt is a little long, which it shouldn't be. It's the same part number as the one I got. Or we can run it, and we can use this pulley, get it in here, like so. I mean, it fits on there. It fits. It's tight. I just don't like the fact that now we're going to come out here and do a sharp 90 degree over here for the intake, which was fine because that was the original plan anyway, because of the mechanical fan situation. So, I guess we'll just call that a win for right now, and then if we got to change it up when we start building the intake, we will do so.
My issue when they start talking to me, that's helping me.
Dems. You're in my shot.
Oh. I didn't realize you were recording.
Now that we got that out of the way, sometimes you got to start on just electrical wiring. And, well, this here LS needs a lot of electrical wiring, so I'm soldering up some grounds. We're going to put a bunch of grounds from the battery down to the frame rail up to the firewall to the LS to the frame rail. So this thing has tons and tons and tons of grounds, because those sensors, if they don't have proper ground, they're going to have proper power, but they kind of go on the fritz. So we're going to ground this up. Simple little eyelets, you know, going through, crimping them together, putting the heat shrinking stuff on there. So that's what we're doing right now. Well, under here, removing the old fuel line junk, we got ourselves a spike plug. Nope, I lied, it's a spike. Oh my gosh. Heavens, oh my heavens. It's a spike. We'll have to rescue that and get it to Paul.
Did you find the thing?
But they're right down, right straight down in there between the bed, the cab and the bed. You see them?
Oh, yeah.
So I gotta figure out a way to get it. No, but I got a long stack. I got a piece of a brake hose. Ah! Yeah, there's one spike in there, and I don't know if that's a gas cap or what that is. There's a plastic part.
Gas cap. Oh my god.
And I had it and then it fell.
Son of a bitch.
Alright, you do that side and I'll do this side. There we go. There we go. treasure hunt.
Wow,
It looks like a gas cap from a snowmobile. Or maybe it's like from a power pack that was back here from like a hydro pack, yeah. You can see that spike's been back here for many, many years. There's quite the rust on it, on the top part. So right down in there, you can see that spike has been living there for quite some time, surfing back and forth. We'll get that out. Get your magnet on there. Oh, that's gonna work great. Recovery effort. Recovery effort.
Got it.
Ah. Ah. Yeah, who knows how long that thing's been in there for.
You can tell for a while because the side of it's a little bit shaken out. That's insane.
Jeez. That is nuts. Well, all fun.
Oh, there's it now. You can tell it's a brand new spike though because it's still got some paint on it.
Oh yeah, probably. All in all, just been kind of, just cleaning up stuff, getting rid of the junk that we don't need. So I'm gonna go back up front here and show you what we got done up there. All right, so we got, of course, that little thing is broken off, but well, it's all right. We'll drill those out. Got some ground, some battery wires. So ran down through here. This one goes down to where the starter's at. Got the starter pulled out because I wanted to make sure it's hooked up properly when we get the new harness. Got a ground strap that runs across through here. I'm gonna mount it right there. I gotta get some more hardware. I don't really like how that's set up as of right now, but we'll have a ground right there. I did get one more ground put up here onto the block, if you will. It's kind of actually the accessory for this, but it's got a ground that goes down to the frame. I'm probably gonna run another one, maybe from this ground lug back to somewhere on the back of the head or on the front of the head, maybe somewhere up in here. And then possibly another one up to the firewall, and then one up to obviously the radiator support when that gets put up in here. I just want to make sure that this truck is very well grounded out, because that's one thing you have issues with is grounds. Also trying to track down linkage. We don't have any linkage to go from here down to the transmission. Trying to see about getting that. Gonna have to get another block off plate, or get a block off plate on my order from Speedway from that. We'll get one for the back as well, because we're not gonna need this for the brake boosters, because that's for the vacuum, because it does have the Hydro Boost setup. Going through trying to figure out this whole Hydro Boost setup thing. Gonna have to run a line from here up to the power, or to the Hydro Boost, and then it's got a return line off of it, but then it also has a high pressure one that comes off of it. Runs down here to the pump, and then the pump comes off and obviously goes to a return as well. So we're gonna have to figure out some kind of a T configuration setup thing, the jigger, I guess. I don't know. All in all, pretty productive day just for kind of tinkering here and there. I did order also a under hood harness, a little spendy. I can only find one on eBay. So that should be coming in. I hope it has like everything for the wiper motor, all the engine harness components that we're gonna need. Then we could splice the LS1 into that truck one, and then we can get all the gauges and stuff working on the truck. But all in all, it's coming along. We're getting it. We're getting it. So that's gonna wrap this evening up. I'll see you guys here when I'm back out next day. Well, hey, welcome back. It's been an exciting week here at Two Stall Garage. Parts have just been flooded in for this 1988 C30 we got behind us. Everything from the fuel tank, the radiator, fuel pump, fuel sending unit, tons of stuff. So, right now we're gonna get into unboxing, all the fun stuff that you're gonna need to do on your LS swap. Let's go. So in no particular fashion, rhyme or reason, these boxes showed up. There's a couple back behind the camera there. I'll show there in a second, but I'm just gonna go through them and then we're just gonna explain what parts you need for your swap here. So I'm gonna start off my favorite, you know, the Rock Auto one. Why? I don't know. Actually, you should know why. I know why. Did you figure it out yet? Because of the magnet, okay? Because of the magnet. Is that a Ford Tempo? No, it's a Volkswagen. As you can see from my magnet collection back over here, we're just gonna slap her on there. Bam. It's the best part, Rock Auto. Anyway, what part did we get? What part did we get? Fuel filler neck. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that. And that's the neck for the fuel to flow into the neck thing. Fuel filler neck. Check. Check. Checker. Next one. Package from Amazon. Let's see what do we get from. Is my blade not that sharp anymore? What did we get from Amazon? Amazon. Amazon. Low wheat. Didn't order any beer stuff. Quite the big box. Low wheat. Buckwheat. Oh! Radiator hoses. Radiator hoses. You need an upper and a lower radiator hose for a 2000-ish Silverado. I prefer a 2002 Silverado just because the upper one's got a little bit of extra hose on it, and you can go from the, actually goes like this into the water pump, and then it goes up on the front of the radiator, and then it goes into the radiator here. You get a little bit extra play and a bunch of little funny kinks so you can work with it. Lower one's it's pretty much the same, and it's also got this nice tubing on it as well to prevent chafing. Lower radiator hoses, check. All right, another box from Amazonian. What do we get here? This box is, I don't know. What is this? What is this? What is this? Huh. 4L80E DVC. What on earth could this be? Well, I know what it is. Do you guys know what it is? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Ah. Do you? Do you? Do you? I know what it is. This would be our standalone harness for a blue-red pin connector computer setup and a 4L80E transmission. Nice setup we got here. It's a standalone harness. It'll save us from having to depin that one. And it was only like 130 bucks versus me doing it all. It even comes with a little fuse box in there, so we're gonna have to get that all mounted in there, but grounds, that's a good need right there. It also did come with this little package that I ordered from Amazon as well. It's an ICT billet thing, majigger, and you might be asking yourself, well, what did you need that for? Come on, because it's got a little hole in it right there, and what you do is you actually got to cut your upper radiator hose somewhere. Highest point. It's for the steam port. So when it steams off of it, it can go into that versus going into the standard overflow bottle. So got that. Check on Amazon boxes. What's our next one we got? Rock Auto What do we get for magnet? Magnet. What do we get? What do we get? What do we get? Fuel sending unit. Well, I'll be brand and new inbox AC and Delco fuel sending unit. This one is the factory fuel sending unit for the 1988 C30, C20, you know, all the Suburbans and all that, because they were fuel injected, which means it's going to be a direct bolt-in. We just have to put our pump on it, which instead of having 15 pounds for the TBI setup that had, we're going to put the one on there that's got 45 or so pounds. Can't go wrong when you get high quality AC Delco parts. That's for sure. Oh, I almost got shorted on a magnet. Nope, I didn't. What do we get? We got, we got a 379 Chevy. It looks like an Impala or a Bel Air or something. It's one of those 60s cars. First time I've seen one of those. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Got here. Next thing we got. What is this? What is this? I don't know what this is. Let's just open it up and find out. Well, we got ourselves some fuel line. Some Dorman, I think it's Dorman. We got some fuel return line. And then we got ourselves some other Dorman 3/8 fuel line. That'll run from our fuel sending unit to the tank. We may need to get some more of that for as long as this is, but we'll cover that bridge when we get there. And then, oh, we got ourselves a new engine coolant temp sensor for a factory C30. Why do you say that? Well, I'll tell you there in a second. What else did we get? What is this? What is this? It's not even labeled. I don't even know how to explain it because it's not labeled. What is it? Oh, this would be our fuel pump. Our wall ball, oh no, it's the Comenso fuel pump that we're gonna need. We're gonna put it in that fuel sending unit, drop it in the fuel tank, and we're gonna have ourselves a good old fuel system. That's what that is and all those little parts. Wish they would have done some little bit better labeling. However, I think it's good because it's good. So now, what else do we got here? We got ourselves another Amazon package. Oh, so we got the USB port plug that's going to get installed. That's good. What do we got here? What do we got here? Another no label name, label thing. I don't know. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. Come on. Oh, it is labeled. Oh my gosh. This is the Dakota Digital drive-by cable setup. So what we do is we put a VCACS signal to it from the PCM. One of those signals. It's the same one that you would run the transmission off of, which our harness should have. And then what it does is it converts a signal to a little spinner thing, and then you hook it up with a cable to the speedometer, and then the speedometer works. Good thought. So we got that, and then, oh, I'm just throwing stuff. We got another sensor. This sensor is this is the oil pressure sensor, because again, oil pressure, temp sensor. We're all going to use the stock gauges inside the C30 here, and we need the stock ones from the stock motor, but we got to adapt them to the LS, which I'll get into here in a little bit. What else do we got? Oh, this is from JY Performance. If it is what I think it is, this should be our transmission cross member, I believe. I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yes, yes, yes it is. So now, C30 didn't have a transmission cross member, so they have custom built cross members that you can buy that go right into any C10, C30, C20, Suburban, you name it, Blazer, Jimmy. They all go inside there because it's all the same length and it'll center up the transmission. Looks like it's got a little bit of adjustment play. We can mess with it. Well, that's gonna be nice. We'll probably have to put some, oh, it even comes with hardware. I was just gonna say, we'll probably have to mount it up somehow and drill some holes, but that's fine because we got hardware. Perfect. Gonna need that. All right, so my next order of bitness we got over here. All right, so this big box right here, this is our 34-gallon fuel tank that we are going to install brand new. Still waiting on the straps from Rock Auto, and then the other box I got over there is the radiator. So as I mentioned, I'm waiting on a lot of parts still, but we got enough to get going on a lot of stuff, including the engine wire harness. We got the fuel lines, we can start running those. We got transmission cross member. We got a lot of stuff that we can start going. We can start assembling the fuel pump into the fuel sending unit, drop it into the tank, get the wiring all taken care of for that because we're gonna have to do that. Then we could start doing the wiring on the standalone harness, get it all plumbed through and make it nice and pretty. Waiting for the computer to come back, try to figure out a mounting location. I got a spare one floating around. We'll just mock mount it up. And lots and lots and lots of stuff to do. It's going to be into, hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to start cracking on some of this stuff, so tune in then. Or just keep watching the video, because that's what you do. All right, be back. Well, it is the very next day, and I'm back out here in the garage, just for a moment though. We're back working on the C30. Why are you just out here for a moment though? Well, because I'm just grabbing some tools because we got to source some parts from a local junkyard. Need a drive shaft. So I'm going to load up some tools because I think it's a pick and pull. I'm not really sure. It's one of those old school ones. I don't know. But we're going to load up some tools in the back of the Suburban. We're going to take a trip over there. We're going to go check this thing out. So let's grab some stuff. Okay, so underneath here, let me get some bolts in my side here. And we need to take some measurements. Now the motor, the LS, that has some movement in it, has some play. The transmission mount, that's not in yet, so we can always adjust that, which is fine. I just want to get a general idea, and I'm pretty sure a stock drive shaft like the ones that are on the Suburban with the carrier bearing will work just fine. However, I'm going to get some measurements so I have them ready to go when we get there. So really you want to take into consideration with the yoke on the transmission. I don't have one handy. I'll probably do. I'm already under the truck, so I'm not going to get it. I just want general ballpark idea to get me by, because we'll figure out all those measurements and everything here when that time comes. So we got roughly 40 inches, if I'm suggesting 40 inches from the transmission to where the carrier bearing is going to be, and we're going to want that for that one section piece. Carrier bearing goes on. From that section, we're going to want to measure from the center out. Something like that. So that'll be, looks like about 68 inches. So 40, 68, that should get us pretty close to in the ballpark, the realm of reality. carrier bearing has a bunch of slots in it where it can have adjustment. That center section should also pivot. It's greasable, if I remember correctly. Well, let's just look at the Suburban here really quick. Basically, we're after that, and you're gonna have the carrier bearing, which is right there. Looks like it has its own little cross member thing going on there, so we might need that. And then it goes down to the rear end. So of course this one's gonna be a little bit shorter because it's about 900 miles longer from a C30 to a Suburban, but you get the idea. Well, made it to the salvage yard. I guess I'm gonna be digging through these good old drive shafts here. They got everything. They even got a little shop over there. So I'm gonna dig through some of this stuff and record as I can. This place is just nuts. Stuff everywhere. Radiators. I mean lights. All sorts of everything we could possibly think of. Well, out walking in the yard, I think I found something that might work, but I'm just gonna go check out one of these trucks. See, but there's just, I love walking in junkyards. There's so much stuff. Well, that was fun. We left. I got some goodies here. I'll show you. Let me get some beer. Head back. You can tell I got a little bit of sun today. I love it. Well, we're gonna go check some stuff out, and I don't know, that was a nice C10 that just went by. Damn. All right, see you in a bit. All right, so I'm back in the junkyard here. I'm starting to lay out the wire harness, and I went through, laid it out. Yeah, it's my recommendation for you guys if you're to really start doing this is lay it out, see what you got, and work with what you have, and figure out what you don't have. So, table, workbench, whatever you got, lay it all out, take it out of the package, get the instructions all set up where you can see where things need to end up going. So, for instance, we have fuse relay center here, which is going to be obviously the fuse block here. We got our PCM connectors, a DLC connector, that's so we can plug it into a USB port. That's going to be right here. All this stuff is going to go underneath the dash, inside the cab, including the computer. Then we got this rubber grommet that's going to go to the firewall. Then all this is going to go to the outside. So you can see I've been going through labeling these, so when I do start fishing them through the firewall of the truck there, we can end up having a good idea on where they go, because there's going to be a left-hand side, right-hand side for the fuel injectors. And speaking of fuel injectors and why it's very important you lay it out and start going through this, is I started doing this, obviously labeling it, and well, that is a correct fuel injector. This is not a correct fuel injector. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What are you talking about? It's not a correct fuel injector. I figured wires were wires were wires were wires. The black one, those are the ones that came with the harness. Those are for the older model fuel injector. So the Impala, that's the setup that it has. This style is the one that we need. This is the one that goes on the LS for the fuel injectors. Let me go over here and show you. As you can see, we just we clip them on there. Clip. Oh, I had it the right way the first time. But anyway, you get the point. That's the ones. These are the ones that we need, because that's our fuel injecting system that we have. Thankfully, I got this harness here that has them. I've been going through, stripping out, getting wires off, utilizing it the best that I can. So I popped these off. Back hip here on the bench. I've already got the one side all done. They look pretty good, and I got them labeled. I got to go through to the other side, so that's 6-4, so that's going to be the passenger side. So I got to go through and do the driver's side, and it's really just a matter of taking the loom off, tape off, clipping them back here. You know, heat shrinking them and soldering them together. It's wires. But just very important you go through and get it all taken care of before, figure it out, because you want to figure out this little stuff while it's out of the vehicle and not in the vehicle. So I'm gonna get this stuff figured out, finished up, and we're gonna start fishing this harness into firewall. All right, got it all soldered up, got them all labeled, how they need to be labeled, and we're ready to rock. Now, I know I just said that, now we're gonna start shoving that thing into the truck here. Well, you gotta expect the unexpected and then do this step before you can do that step, and then go to do that step, and then you need to do this before you can do that. What are you talking about, Chris? Well, our plan was we were gonna take that harness and shove it up inside the firewall. But I forgot we gotta mount the computer. Or maybe I didn't forget, but either way, let me show you. It's gotta come through here through the firewall. It's gonna go up to right there. And as I was backing out, I'm like, huh, there's that box right there. I was like, huh, maybe we can mount the computer up there. Why would they have that box up there? Well, because in '88, this was fuel injected. It was TBI. That's where the factory computer was for the TBI. So, before we get the harness put in there now, like I was getting at, we're going to pop that out. We're going to lower the bench. We're going to fit it and make this 4L80E53 swap computer fit into the factory box thing. So just a couple 410 millimeters and that thing should come out. Okay, so here's the box thing that came out from under the dash. It's just a piece of plastic. So why reinvent the wheel? We're not going to. This little thing will hold the computer on. You may need to do some hacking, some cutting to figure it out. See, but I think we're pretty darn close with making this thing fit in here. Slight modifications maybe. Strap might have to get redone. Either way, I think that's pretty good start from where we just were at. So I'm gonna mess around with this here a little bit, see what we can come up with. Fabricating that, make this newer computer fit in here. Well, this is very, very brittle plastic. I start cutting into it, it's gonna break. I'm thinking probably gonna do like a strap system with some of these up in there, but so that's gonna be after I get it all up in here. I'll figure that out here later. So I'm gonna start running the wire harness that I had on the table through, just one at a time, get them through there, kind of tuck them through. You're gonna have to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, fishing all these through. Don't rip them, don't snag them, make sure they're going in order, stretch it out, longest one, and then just go. So on to it. Longest one to start with is gonna be this bundle of wires right here. No surprise, driver's side to the alternator. Okay, through. Caught between this, that, the other thing, and you know, Squarebody issues. full. Alright. Okay. A few more little tugs and custom. So that grommet's gonna pop in there like that. We're gonna lay all this around here. It's gonna look factory. It's gonna look factory. Coming in on the inside here, we got all of our under dash wires. Those will obviously plumb into the stock stuff. We got our fuse box. We're gonna have to find a home for this. We gotta put this over there, which is gonna be our diagnostic port, so we can plug an OBD reader in there, see what's going on with the engine. We gotta mount the fuel box, or the relay box here, with the fuel pump stuff on it, so that's gonna have to kind of be loosely set aside. And we got one ground to deal with. And then of course, our computer. And our computer is gonna plug up into where the computer mounts up there. All the other stuff we'll find a home for it relatively easily. Probably gonna make it so this is accessible somewhere. So in case one of these fuses end up blowing for whatever reason, it's serviceable. You know, it's all about the convenience. Maybe we'll come down over here or something. I don't know yet. Haven't figured it out. But we'll make it accessible here. So here's where your labeling that you spent 25 minutes on over there is going to come very, 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 very handy. Because now they're all labeled. We just kind of got to lay them gently into the location that we're going to fall on the motor. Whether they go like that or like this. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but you just kind of lay it to where it's close, and then whatever it looks good to fish through, I mean, you make it happen. You just make it happen. So that is our head ground. Didn't say front or back. Usually they're mounted in the back. That's kind of a pain in the ass. Maybe we'll mount it in the front. As long as it says cylinder head, we'll mount it to the cylinder head. Maybe we'll have to mount it in the back. I don't know yet. So find your labels, kind of lay them out to where they need to go. Carefully set them off. It's really simple. So we got, what is this? GPS sensor. This is going to be all the driver side stuff over here. So I'm assuming that all this stuff is going to be for over here. So kind of something like that. So now all these sensors will plug in up here. We got alternator that'll plug right into our alternator. And it's however you want to route it in there. I mean, it can be pretty, it can be ugly, it's whatever you want. I don't know. But I'm gonna go through, take some time, route it underneath fuel rails, get them all hooked up to where they need to go, and then have a beer about it, I think. Because it sounds tasty about right now. All right, just like that, we got our harness in here. We got the computer. We got it mounted up. I just ended up using that strapping. It, you know, it's solid. She ain't going nowhere. I do gotta tie the wires up here so the glove box will close, but that's fine. It's gonna look factory. So that's up there. Up here underneath the hood, we got all our majority of our stuff plugged in. We got our fuel injectors plugged in. We got our coil pack plugged in on this side. We got that weird sensor in the back plugged in back there. Come over here. We got our throttle position sensor hooked up. We got our alternator wire. Still waiting on the IAC sensor to come in. It should be here Monday or Tuesday. So once that's in, that'll be plugged in. This is going to be for our mass airflow sensor, so we'll have to figure out routing on that. This one I think is an actual it's going to be an extra sensor. I think it's for this sensor, but we have the block off plate for that, so that's been deleted, so we'll just tuck that away so it looks nice. And down over here we got our coolant temp sensor. We got that all plugged in as well, then injectors and everything over here. Got a ground that we got to hook up back there, which that's not a hard thing to do. Run our transmission wires down to the transmission. I don't know, about an hour's worth of work. It's not too bad. It's more or less just making sure it's looks good, I guess. So now, as I look on the floor, that, my friends, is a rat nest of a wire harness that I robbed from the junkyard yesterday. So it controls all the engine components and the wipers, because we don't have the wiper controls and we want those. And then I was also able to get that linkage for the transmission, but wiring, we're focusing on the wiring. So this has got everything from the headlight, most of the headlights. Some of it was clipped when I got it, but it's okay. We got all of them. We're really just after, we have that half on the core support, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but we're after this half. All this stuff over here. Those are for the windshield wipers to make them work. All this stuff over here is for your power to the cab, all the sensors, fuel gauge, all that stuff. So now we got to figure out how to deal with all this. So back to the bench we go. Let's lay it out and see what we got. Okay, so wiring, if you got some old wiring like this that you pulled off a truck, pulled out of a junkyard like we did here, you got to make sure it's good, right? If it's good, great. If it's not, fix the wires that are not great. Well, how do you do that? Well, you first got to go through and strip off all the sheathing, all this wire loom stuff. You know, it's all brittle, it's crumbly. So just get all that stuff, you know, just expose all your wires so you can get them out like this. Next thing you're going to need is you're going to have to get yourself a multimeter, and we're going to have to do a continuity test. Now, just like when we found those fuel injectors that weren't the right harness plug thingers, figure it out on the desk here. It might take an hour to go through, do a continuity test on every single wire of this harness, but it'll save you in the long run from when you finally get it installed, trying to troubleshoot everything in the truck, circuits and everything else, just to know. So what is a continuity test? Well, it means the wire's good from point A to point B. So you take your little multimeter here, you put it over here to the ohm setting, horseshoe setting, and then you touch both ends of the wire, and if it has good electricity flow through it, what'll happen is you'll look at your thing and it'll change. It'll go up to 0 from 1. It'll go to 0 because it has good resistance through it. It means it's complete. It means it's fine. So you would test this end and the other end inside the harness, and you see that, hey, that wire's good to go. Check it off your list. Move on to the next one. If it's not, then you could start moving down here and say, oh, look, there's a corroded out spot, or clip, put a new piece on, good to go. Or, oh, hey, that's a cut because it was sitting in a 40-year-old truck with rust, and you fix the splice or whatever it might be, and you kind of move on from there. That's all you're doing. Making sure the wire is complete from this harness part all the way through to the end of it. So in that way, when it's hooked up, you can eliminate this from one of your problems if you got to start troubleshooting stuff. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to clean up all this, get all the dirt and grime off of it, kind of wipe it down, clean it up. This little fuse block thing here, don't throw it away. We're going to use it, so make sure to undo the wires. Someone's kind of corroded up. As you can see, clean it up. Just clean up stuff. Clean up stuff now, save yourself in the future. Future Chris is thinking past tense Chris right now, okay? All right, so I'm gonna do that. All right, gone through, cleaned up the wire harness here. Don't worry about what wires do what right now. Just, like I said, get it cleaned up. This is exactly why you figure it out and see what's going on. That's what is going on with this. That is very sus, if you will. We got some tape right there. That's not good. And I noticed on this wire too, we got a little jobber going on. I don't even know what that goes to yet. Temp sensor maybe? I don't know, we'll figure that out here in a little bit, but we're gonna wanna take that off and fix that. All right, so we got this all cleaned up. We got them identified to where they go. Actually depinned one of them that we're not gonna need. And you might notice it's half a harness because the other part of it, that's for brake lights, which we have that one in there. Headlights, we'll figure out if we're gonna use parts of that one. We're probably gonna use that other one. But let's go get this installed and get our block going. Okay, now we're inside the engine compartment of this C30. Same as our LS harness, we kind of just threw it into place, put it up there, and we'll just kind of thumb it around to where it needs to go. Obviously, this is going to go up over in that direction. Start draping some wires up over here. This is where the stock harness would come across. And our little distribution fuse block thing is going to mount on the firewall right like so. That's going to be our point where we're going to have a power wire coming from our alternator back to it and then over to our battery. And then another one from there down to our fuse block. And it's just going to be all sorts of stuff. I got our starter wire. We got to plumb that down towards the starter. Probably should put an end on it before we do that because we need that. This is our ignition switch. Ignition, I think. So this one is like a power ignition switch when clicked on. If anything's getting powered up under here. We might end up pulling that one out and depinning it because I don't think we're going to need it under the hood because all our computer stuff is going to go through ignition turn on with our LS underneath the dashboard now. This one right here, this way, this is our coolant temp sensor. We'll have to plumb this in, do something to come this side. No, that one's got to stay there. We'll have to do the other side over there with the stock temp sensor. And then we'll have to hook up our oil sensor and then alternator, you know, all the fun stuff. So I'm going to get into it. All right. Something like that. Something like this. Is it long enough? Are you long enough? Are you long enough? Are you? I think so. Well, you're supposed to report. It's not going to work if they're not long enough. Okay. Longer screws, let's go. put some room on that after a bit. Well, it's about a day or so later, and I'm back out here working on the C30. I've been out here for a couple hours just doing some odds and ends, still on this wiring. Let me show you what we got done. First, you might notice that there's a battery tray in here. Got one from the salvage yard, got that all in here, got the battery loosely put up here because it's, you know, kind of large for this, but it'll work. We got some cables that are ran, did some heat shrink. I ran another set of cables over to here. We got a power distribution block over there. We got one cable that goes all the way up to that power distribution block, of course the factory ones. That's where we got all of our stuff tied into for our firewall harness for the stock setup here. Second wire that we have off of this one is coming up through here. It comes to the back of the alternator. That's a direct charge to the battery. Also going to take this little one right here, and that's going to end up getting tied up to the positive side of it. Now on the ground side, we got our ground cable here. We got it all worked up, plumbed in here, and it is tied in to here. I did go ahead and attach a ground on the back side of the head for our LS harness, and I went through and did some other odds and ends. We also got our idler air control here. That came in, got that installed, got it hooked up. Oh, wiring, it's so fun. But we are to the point now, we gotta do fire test. We gotta make sure that power is being delivered through the system, that the grounds are working properly, that we're getting power into the cab, into the fuse block, and then we'll diagnose all that stuff here a little bit shortly, I guess, if you will. But let's do a fire test and see what we got. All right, so if you don't know what a fire test is, it's basically you attach your positive and your negative, and then you just wait. And if stuff starts heating up, starts turning to licorice, melting, stinking, smelling, you got smoke coming up, you know you didn't pass the fire test. And you should probably quickly unhook one of your wires. For us, I think we're gonna be good. So ground, got positive. Fire test. And just sit and wait. Look around. Build cables if need be, make sure they're not getting hot. That's good. Good. Got my good old multimeter out here. Let's even make sure we got power on our battery. It's been sitting for about a month. Well, I got you set right. Yeah, 12.6 volts. That's good. So we got power. All right. Get this a little bit more of a snug down. Let's see if we got good ground on our frame. So I'm touching the positive to the positive side, and I have a good ground there. I have a good ground. A good ground there? No, I don't. It's like 0.16. That ain't good. Well, why are you drunk? Because you're dirty? That's why we do these. See what we got. Hey, what we got. That off here. All right, back to checking it out. There we go. 12.7. Now touching the block. Block has got 12.7 as well. So we got a good ground through our system through here from the battery. Now let's start checking our positive side of things. Of course, our positive wire just goes down by the starter when the starter's not installed, so it's just hanging there, but all the other stuff should have voltage to it because we need to power up our cab and whatnot. So we should have power here. We got it, 12.7. I'm gonna switch to this one up here. Let's see what we got. Brake booster should be grounded. And we're looking at a little bit of volt. No, what was it? 12.70. All right, 12.70 on this as well. Might help if you guys can see that. I got a dangly little chain in my face. Sliders don't do anything. Swinging. Anyways, that one up there is good too. So we know we got cab power. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go inside the cab here, and with our multimeter we're going to start poking and prodding and making sure our fuse block actually has power. Alright, into the cab. Hopefully you guys can see what we got going on here. Really what I'm doing is I'm grounding it out here to the body of a vehicle. Should be grounded, which we can test that by changing it to ohms. And then when you got ohms, you basically complete the circuit. So if it's complete here, we touch the column, and it's complete. So we know that we got good ground there. So now what I'm going to start doing is poking and prodding inside here. Crank signal, we got nothing. We got nothing on that 3-amp fuse. What we got? Nothing. Turn. Let's find one that's got power on it. Let's see, this one right here says power. Yep, we got power. Sweet. 11.69, so just a little bit of a voltage drop. PCB, ECMB, turn signals, that's what I really care about here. That's got power to it. Gauges. Here's the ignition on. AC heater, that had power to it. Yeah, so we got power coming to our fuse block. Ignition. We ain't got anything on the ignition. That might be a problem. Horn? We got it on the horn. Does the horn work? Why not? Because we don't have a horse for it. That's okay. But we got power coming into the block. That's what I wanted to make sure, because now we can start going through and diagnosing if we got power onto the fuses, where in the hell all this stuff goes. I mean, that looks like a brake switch, but there's another brake switch up there. And there's like some other stuff. Looks like blinker relays and other, like I mentioned, brakes. We got stuff off the column here. Maybe it plugs in something. I don't know. What is this? Okay. Alright. Well, wiring. I'm going to start diving into that wiring. Yeah. Main goal is going to be the key to turn over. When the key is turned over, we got power in here, and it turns on everything, including kick on our fuel pump. So there might be a lot of rhetorical stuff in there. It doesn't really matter, but we'll talk it away in case Paul wants to turn this thing back into a stock unit at some point. Okay, now what do I gotta do? More wiring. Alright, so my random wires I got up here under the hood is gonna mark them. There's ignition wire. I think this is gonna be for my temp gauge. This is our starter wire. This is for the oil pressure. That's for that brake. And that's temp gauge. Either way. So this should have keyed power. So I should hook the multimeter up to it. When I go to kick the key, it should do. So let me do that and see if we got anything. I'm kind of thinking it won't because, well, we got a bunch of stuff pulled out from under the dash that goes up to the column. But if it does, you should see something on here. So let's go ahead and make sure we got that. Check our continuity, make sure we got continuity. No, we gotta make sure we got continuity. We got continuity. Come on, continuity face. Well, would you just work? I had continuity and then it just went away because the thing fell off. Okay. So now we come back to up here. Hopefully y'all can see that. Can you see the multimeter? No, you cannot. Okay, so now you can see the multimeter. I was testing continuity from there to here to make sure my gauge was working. Because, you know, whatever. But now you can see this, so in theory I should be able to go turn the key on. And since we got power hooked up, you should see that get some voltages going through it. If it does, that means that our starter wire makes power to it. It's over. We make something on it. Well, anything? What'd you see? What'd you see? What did you see? Kind of as I expected. Big old fat, nothing. That's because our column is not hooked up yet. But we'll get there. We will get there. Well, that's neat. As you can see, we're filming on YouTube. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, we ain't got no steering column because they got pulled out. Why? Because, well, first of all, my hands are too fat to get in there and actually clip the wire harness back together. Third, the wire harness I wanted to make sure was, you know, the right one because maybe the column was changed. I don't know. But the cool thing is I wanted to change out and put a tilt column in Bert, so it was a lot easier than I thought it was to pull it out. So maybe we'll do that. Go salvage yard hunting tomorrow. I don't know, but I gotta dig out and figure out all those wires and doodads and what the hell is this? I don't know. It's a 6908. Does anyone know what a 6908 box thing does? No. Looks like a USB, some kind of a diagnostics port maybe? Ah. Shall we see? I'll put you right there. Let's see. Yay! Computer chip stuff. And that's in the neighbor's yard. That's all stuff though that we are not gonna need. So, really cleaning it out because I'm gonna pull this off. See if I can clean this up. If not, I got one I'm gonna replace it with. I just kind of start trimming wires that we don't need because we don't need them, we ain't use them. All right. So, dash now is completely ripped apart. Throttle cable we went through and got that all changed out, right?
Yep.
Throttle cable changed out.
I stole it.
Yep, you stole it. We got the new throttle cables on here. However, it needed to be modified. So over here on the bench, modifying this throttle cable setup because it was originally something like, it was like this. And all I did was I hacked it, and we are going to drop it on the floor. We're gonna flip it. We're gonna flip it. So as we want the square one on the further outside when it's in the truck, and then that way we can use the throttle cable.
And that's the way it works. Safety squinch don't work as well as I thought they would.
Yeah, they don't, do they? I see shit.
That's some shit out of this fucking thing.
I'm gonna leave that in and edit it.
Fucker.
It's fine, just tap it on the ground.
What do you mean tap it on the ground?
No,
Oh, yeah.
now it's the edge.
What?
Now just the edge.
Some gaps up there still. Oh my god. Really good. Did I get the father approval?
Sure.
Okay.
You gonna get the YouTube approval? I don't know. We'll see when the video comes out.
Probably not. Yeah, something to grab that. That's good.
Get on your hay dudes.
Yep.
Yeah, good enough.
No, it's not.
What do you mean, no, it's not?
No, it's not.
Why?
It's gotta be like perfect, apparently. According to YouTube, it's got to be perfect. It's gotta be a pipeline welder.
You laying pipe already, fag. Good enough. It's hot. It's burned. All right. Welder's off. Scrub it down.
Scrub her down. Not a bad stitch weld. Grinder and paint make me the welder I ain't.
You should get that a shirt and say it.
He's already a shirt.
And paint while it's still hot so it flash dries. Bake it on. What did they say? Thanks, guys. Good enough.
Sorry I didn't get the good enough covering where you tink it with the hammer and it falls apart. And then it's like shows a perfect weld. Well, I think that's a completely different type of welding.
Yeah.
Probably uses gas.
It's good enough for our project.
If you tap it with a hammer, it should stay. Wow, that's good enough.
That'll hold.
It'll hold for a throttle body cable. That's all you need.
Quality. Back out here working on this wiring we got for the under dash. Of course, the column is pulled out, but I think I figured out what goes where. As you can see from this picture right here, you can see that these ones right here, I think, go to that front part. This, of course, is where our power is. I was thinking it's maybe a brake switch or something along those lines. That one looks like it wraps somewhere. Let's figure that one out. And this one is above and over. So I'm gonna hook this up and hopefully it's right. All right, got it all wired up here. This one is supposed to go right there, I think, on certain models, but it just doesn't clip on this one. It might be an accessory, kind of like cruise control. It looks okay when it sits there, but it actually doesn't clip on. So, and then looking at the prongs in here, they're kind of corroded out. So I don't think this was really doing anything. Got everything else hooked up. Did my smoke test. I got the battery hooked up. So let's see what it does. Oh, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got going on here? Wipers? Oh, hey, look at that. Wipers are working. Well, that's cool. That means we got power. That's neat. Squirter work? Oh, that's bright. Courtesy, when you push this thing forward, it does that. Little sticky on that, might have to see if we can juice it up a little bit, but that's good. It means we got power into the cab. Does radio work? No. Radio doesn't work. That's okay. Cool. Power to the column though. We're getting power from the fuse box. Horn? No, because we got the front flip off, dummy. All right, well, let's go test our starter wire out. Okay, so what we did last time was did something like this. I don't really recall, it was a couple days ago. Oh, come on. We're gonna have starter wire, hopefully. Hopefully. Okay, let's see if it does anything. Tell me if it does anything. Well, get it? Should have done something. Maybe. Hopefully it did. Yes, it did. Pretty good. One step closer to getting this thing fired up. So I'm gonna go ahead and extend the starter wire down. I'm gonna go put it to the starter, put the starter back in. Then we're gonna start wiring up the computer harness inside the truck so we can get it all integrated into the stock setup. And yeah, let's do it. Well, now the starter is up in place. Starter wire's neatly tucked in there. Ran up to the front so it's out of the way when we start running exhaust. And I started mocking up the drive shaft. Now this drive shaft came out of like a old school Chevy bus van thing that I found, but it's gonna work. And then I got that other drive shaft, struggling today. That'll go from the carrier bearing back to the rear end. Now it's always fun being under here because then you see other stuff that you need to figure out and order up, such as cooler lines. So I got to get those ordered up while the transmission's here in my face, kind of on this bit of an angle, because I got to put those in before I lift it up to get it to its final spot where I put the drive shaft in, because it's lazy. I also forgot to get an inspection cover when I was at the junkyard the other day. Dang it! I guess I'm gonna have to go find one. But I can at least drop the oil filter since I'm under here and it's in my face. And we can fill it up with fresh oil and then turn it over, see if that starter works like we originally came under here to do. Let's pull the plug out, filter. Got a magnet on it and caught some junk. Filter is full still, kind of heavy, very dark as we get it out in the sun here. Don't really see any glitter, which is good. I am gonna go ahead and dump this out and catch it in a rag. See what we got. Hopefully it's not terrible. All right, so whatever we get, you can see it'll kind of capture it on the rag, and we'll come back and look for any big metal shavings or anything in the oil here. Like I said, I don't see any glitter in it. It'd be really metallic, you need to be able to tell, so that's a plus. But we'll come back in a little bit and check it out. All right, we've been putting in the 520 Mobile 1. We got a new Wix filter, 51042. Gonna pre-fill that up, pop that on, a little bit of oil. Then we're going to crank the motor over, build up a little bit of oil pressure without obviously the ignition on there. That way we can get some oil cycling through, see how this thing does. But first, let's go check on that oil filter and see if we got any glitter in the little sparkly thingy, jigger, whatever we use for a filter, all right? Let's see what it is. Oh, there's a thunderstorm popping up. Anyways, so no chunks, really, nothing terrible in it. I think it'll be fine. I swear, these freaking carpenter bees, they are everywhere and they are a pain in my ass. I got this wood out here today because I was gonna build a shelf in the garage. They're already after it. See how it likes a little bit of a spray. Of course it didn't work. Dire! I don't know if those ones sting or not, but they will cause you some damage. Look at that. Look, I was eating that thing away. Days like today, I don't mind laying underneath the truck. It's hot outside and the truck is nice and cool. Is it gonna fit? Hopefully it fits. Sure does. You don't have to reef these things on there like 1,000,000 pounds, just down there tight. Did their job. Wrote the date on the bottom because I could. Because that's what all the famous YouTubers do. Right? Told you there was a pop-up storm coming in. Tight. All right. Let's go up top. Go up top. Okay. Climbing out from under the car. Come on. Oh, it's in a pallet. Oh, not so bad. A little over dramatic, if you will. Where'd my tripod go? Is that better so then you don't get motion sickness? Motion sickness. How many quarts does this take? 7? Probably. Well, half of this is in the filter. Where's one? Nothing beats Mobile 1. Not gonna lie. Maybe Valvoline. The Mobile 1 beats it just a little bit. A little bit. You know how we know that it's, I think, 7? It's got the truck oil paint on it. They're dripping out. More thunder. Scary. I spent all my break time this afternoon spraying spray for the pesky carpenter bees. And it's gonna, hey, hopefully it dries by then. That do not apply wet, it wasn't wet out. You know, is this where oil even goes? I think so. Not leaking out, is it? Not pouring on the floor, we did everything right? Yep. Hyper tough. Hyper tough. Well, it's like 5.5 gallons. I got some extra in here. It'll be enough to crank it over and get it to build up some pressure. We'll also listen to see if it's got any galloping. Usually if it's got galloping, it's down a cylinder. But hopefully it's not. I don't have the belt on either, so nothing's gonna spin up here freely. But the crank and foliage, make sure that's out of the way. Reason being because I gotta put the PS pump there. Have it hooked up there. Alright, so we have this wired. This. Well, something's constantly engaging. That's not good. It's not good. The truck was in gear and the key was forward. Maybe it will. Probably still gonna do something. Well, it turns over. Oh, some thunder. Why is it constantly just going? Huh. Time to check some stuff out. That's that storm you can see crumbling in. We're getting the cumulonimbus, I think. That one's probably gonna go severe orange for hail. You can see it billowing out and it's starting to go. Let's drive 400 miles, go look at them clouds. No, I can feel the outflow. It's cool. Yeah. We're gonna get stormed on here. Yeah. Welcome to the Brake Can Prop Up Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and here we're underneath a 1988 C30. Idiot. Anyways, I'm gonna pull the starter back off because my thoughts are one of three things. A, well, a starter solenoid is probably connected. Did I just say a word right? I think I did. Making contact, doing something similar to if you were to steal a vehicle, you jumper the Fords. Let's say the starter solenoid. It's kind of similar to that, but the reason I think that it is that, well, because if you remember that earlier in the video, like in the not too distant past, the wire check that we did with the ignition It only turned on when I was turning the ignition on. It wasn't doing it all the time. So therefore it's telling me that it's getting power all the time when the battery is going on. So, oh, would you look at that? Huh, I'll show you. Me and my infinite wisdom, I connected them to constantly start while it's going on. So I need to fix that. Very well. Oh, very well. Only 12 because you're weird. Yep. Oh, just something like that. Is that gonna be enough? Yeah. Everybody's hot. I wonder why. Okay, just like that. Fixed. Now let's go ahead and put it back on. Where's the bolt? Oh. It's kind of funny. I used to be nervous, scared, if you will. Put starters on. Ouch, that hurt. And it seems like this year I've done, oh, that's great, at least it's oiled up, more starters in vehicles than I could shake a stick at. Don't fall on the head. Oh. Maybe 15. 15. 15. Another 15. Millimeter. Yeah, my belly's hanging out. That's great. Let me just cover that up for you. Extension would help. Too lazy. Time management. Time it would take me to get out, go grab one, come back under here. I'd probably just have it done by the time it took. I think smarter, not harder. Okay, let's go test it. Okay, survey says, well, look at that. No unnecessary wow. Not that it was a bad thing. Did some reconfiguring, tightened them up with some washers. You know, just to make it a little bit better on myself. Now, here we go. Let's see what we do. We in park, yep. Key on, what are we gonna do? Yes, sir. That key works, perfect. Now, we gotta do some wiring in here. Also, the gauges and dash cluster thing, I ripped that apart, cleaned it, so it's drying, but turned out pretty decent. Cleaned up really well from the dirty grime that it was. All right, so we got that wire ran down. I found an ignition right there. It says ignition. So when we click our key, hear the relays click. So that's all getting powered up now. Now going through this bundle of wires here, what we got some color coding going on here. So the one we're gonna need is a brown for a check engine light, which there's 2 browns. And the other one listed on here is tan for oil pressure for a F-body cluster. So we'll have to figure that out. See if we can get the check engine light to work. We don't need dark green. We don't need the dark blue because we're not running any fans. Speedo, we might need that one for our setup we got from Dakota Digital. I'm going to figure that out here shortly. We need the orange one. We need the purple one. We don't need the gray one, so that one's been... I taped off the ones that I don't need. And then, yeah. So just go through a process of elimination and be careful. See which ones you got. When you got something like these 2 that are so-called brown/tan, well, you just figure it out. Look at them closer. It kind of looks like one's brown, one's tan. Brown, tan, I don't know. They look both brown to me. The one on the left is a little more tan than the one on the right. Yep. So that's our brown one. So we'll take our tan one, I guess, and we'll tape it off. And then if our check engine light doesn't work, well, we know which wire to come fix. Well, with that, this video is getting a bit long, so I am going to make this, I think, a 2-parter, I guess. Maybe even 3-parter, but we got a ton of work done, but tons still to do yet. What did we do? We picked the thing up, we got it off the trailer, we got it in the garage, we went through, did all the wiring, we got the PCM wired in, we pulled out the steering column, we figured out the wiring from stock stuff into the, you know, the old school GM stuff. Figured all that hoopla out. We got ourselves a drive shaft. We got all the parts we could possibly want to order. We got a lot done, but we got a lot more work to do, I guess, to do. So I'm gonna still dive into it. What do we got left? Fuel system. We got to get the thing running, but it cranks. That's a start. Got to do all the other odds and ends, transmission lines, drive shaft, radiator cooling, figure out this power system hydro boost setup. Lots to do. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Hey, go buy some shirts. They're cheap. I make $1 off each one. I want to get them out there. It's more advertising than anything. So you pay basically what I pay, except for I make $1 off them. So if you want some, go check it out. I got t-shirts and hoodies. Other than that, please like, subscribe, share, comment below. Tell me I'm an idiot. And you're going to see more of this here C30 very soon. See you in the next one.